Hi everyone, this is Ryan Turnbull, Member of Parliament for Whitby. And rightfully, a lot of constituents of mine in Whitby are concerned about the threat of U.S. tariffs that the U.S. administration announced not so long ago. And I mean, we're very happy that we've gotten some reprieve from that with a 30-day delay or pause on those threats of 25% tariffs on Canadian goods going into the United States. But I wanted to just reach out and inform constituents about what our government has been doing. And I wanted to reassure you that our government knew that we needed to strengthen relationships in the United States well in advance of the United States election. So before Donald Trump became the next president of the United States, we were doing a lot of legwork to ensure that we were expressing the importance of Canada-U.S. relations and, going and meeting at the state level, but also in Washington. I took part in some of those conversations and some of those meetings, and it really was important to lay the foundation and, be able to push back at this time. Now, we've done a whole bunch of things to prepare ourselves and be ready for the threat of tariffs, which we knew were coming. Or we anticipated. And I think, what I want to, relay to people is that the fentanyl and illegal immigrant concerns that have been raised by the United States administration are legitimate concerns, but they're very small in proportion to the overall problem that they're experiencing. So we have 1%, less than 1% of fentanyl and less than 1% of illegal immigrants that are actually coming into the United States from Canada. So that's a very small proportion of the problem. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't address those issues. I think we need to work with the United States administration under any leadership, under any government, and it's part of our responsibility to really work with them to address the concerns that they raise. So we are strengthening our border, but it's already been very strong and secure. But we're doing even more now to strengthen the border as a result. So Minister McGuinty has developed a plan. We've added new measures to that. There's $1.3 billion worth of investment going into that. There's drones, there's helicopters, there's more CBSA officers and support to ensure that we're cracking down on any fentanyl that could be seized in transport across the border to the United States from Canada, and any illegal immigrants. So there's a real effort being made there. I think that is good. On the one hand, it's really great, but this is also, as a situation, really provoked us to reconsider and think about our relationship with the United States. We've had a long-standing friendship for decades and decades that we've relied upon. We have highly integrated supply chains and our economies are really tied to one another. And this has really called some of that into question, that we need to really think about how Canada can withstand shocks and challenges to the sort of status quo of how we've been integrated with the United States. And I think that that's really important. So what we're doing is really addressing the internal trade barriers. There's a lot of momentum and swift action taking place on that. And you would think that these things would have been addressed before, but in essence, the provinces and territories haven't necessarily been all that willing to work together on these in the past. But given this sort of threat from outside of a real negative impact on the Canadian economy, I think everyone is coming to the table with renewed energy and willingness to really work together and move quickly on internal trade barriers. So that's very positive. The other thing is we're diversifying our trade relationships. We know that, if the United States is putting high tariffs on some of our Canadian goods, we may have to find other customers and work with other countries and, develop trading relationships with them that are mutually beneficial for both countries. Minister Ng has signed 2 new free trade agreements recently, one with Ecuador, which was just yesterday, and a few weeks ago with Indonesia. Indonesia has an economy that's almost $1.4 trillion in GDP, is the 4th most populous country in the world, and so represents a very big market and a very big trade opportunity for Canada. And so many more opportunities like that exist, and we'll continue to diversify our trade relationships so that we can find other customers and work with them if we need to. There's much more we can do, but I think this has also really brought Canadians together in a way that I haven't seen in a long time. And I think that's really reassuring that we as Canadians are going to stand up, for Canada together, that we are going to focus on buying Canadian. I think it's really important right now to show our support for our local and Canadian businesses, to look for those labels that say product of Canada or made in Canada, which are not the same thing. But I think it's really good to see the outpouring of support for our country and to stand up to these threats. But to also ensure that we have that resilience and solidarity that we'll need to rely on if we're going to get through 4 years of a U.S. administration that may be bringing forward other types of policies that will challenge our economy. So we're working hard, and hope I can answer more of your questions as they come forward. And as we move forward, I'll keep you updated. Thanks very much.